Michelle, what would you like this podcast to be about? What, I mean, in your, there's a realistic Michelle,
Hmm.
it's what it could be, what it's probably going to be. And then there's, like your wildest dreams kind of thing, what it could be.
Well, I think to start, I really like the idea of having conversations with all of the. I mean, there's so many dream researchers I feel now doing really that have been doing really good work for a long time, and I just think it would be great to kind of collect. We'll form like a collection of dream researchers and interviews, and I've met a lot of people at conferences or visited research labs, and I think it would be nice to showcase all of the work that's being done, because I think outside of our field, not many people really know that dream research is it's a real field of science, and we're making progress. So I
Do you
think,
think a lot of people still think of dreams as nothing but, like bizarre flux in the night kind of thing?
yeah, well, I think outside of our field, maybe people don't realize how well we've learned, like what we're learning about how we can study it, how we can capture it.
What's the, in your view, what's the current popular view of dreams? Is it still Freudian or something along those lines?
Yeah, it depends a bit on culture. I think a lot of people have been relatively dismissive of dreams, like they're just
Because that's my sense,
yeah.
that the average person thinks dreams are something that we really don't need to pay attention to. They're not that medically important, not that scientifically important, and they're sort of bizarre things that happen during the night, and we don't need to pay attention to them at all.
Yeah.
Uh, there's no good reason to.
Mhm.
Occasionally we have a memorable dream and it's mildly bizarre, and we want to, tell some friend about it because it was so unusual. And occasionally there might be some very emotional dream that
Right.
that haunts us for a few days. But I think most people just think of their dreams as just, I just don't understand them, and but I
Yeah.
don't need to, and I don't
Right.
want,
Yeah, they're hard to. They don't know how to use them, and so if we don't know how to use something, then we just say, well, then it's useless. So
yeah,
pay attention to it.
yeah. But what is science saying about? I mean, is science saying that we should pay attention to them, or is there any benefit?
Depends on the science. I think a lot of people say different things. I think you know we can learn a lot about ourselves through paying attention to dreams, but the science is kind of still at a phase of deconstructing, I think, what it is that's creating the dream and how dreams are generated. So I don't know, I think the science versus how we can personally use them are still a bit disconnected, like
I kind of agree. Yeah, I think that there's some good scientific evidence that paying attention to your dreams will confer great benefits, or can confer great benefits.
mm-hmm.
Uh, but it's not established science that that's the case. On the other hand, I agree with some philosophers and some scientists who say that if you really want to understand human beings and human consciousness, you'll need to grapple with dreams
Mm-hmm.
because they're central to creating the human experience.
Yeah, sometimes philosophers understand our dreams more than scientists do. I think for
I
me, I
think,
remember,
yeah,
yeah, I remember like when I first started studying dreams as a scientist, we like at the beginning I took a very limited approach to trying to scientifically study dreams, because it's hard to study them otherwise, because there's so much variation, and they're so hard to capture, and they're so hard to get reports from. And So I would take a very limited view, like, is the dream bizarre? Is it emotional? And just like, scaled ratings of what the
Yeah.
dream is like. And now over time, I've started to really, do more research where I'm having hour-long interviews with somebody about their dream. And I think going more deep into the dream experience is necessary. And it's hard as scientists to do that, but I think it's a necessary step.
Yeah, because you miss so much if you don't take the narrative seriously, the dream report seriously, and you miss something essential about what dreaming is. Sometimes the dream report seems nonsensical, and there's a lot of bizarre elements, and some of the actions violate the laws of physics, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we tend to dismiss them as crazy things that happen in the night. But when you read hundreds of dreams and really take that content seriously, some patterns begin to emerge.
Definitely, yeah. And if you ask people more questions, I mean, a lot of times what seems bizarre to us, for the person, there's a very simple link. Like, it might seem, I had a dream that when I was in the sleep lab, I was acting as a participant for one of my colleagues, and in the dream, she came into my room to wake me up, but she was a cat. She was this gray cat that jumped on my bed. And that might just seem, that's like a bizarre dream element. But if I think about it for a second, then it's like, every day my gray cat jumps on my bed and wakes me up. So the fact that I was in the sleep lab and she was going to come in and wake me up, that association is actually, it's very direct. It's not like really bizarre out of nowhere association. So I think a lot of times, if you get more information from the dreamer, they can reveal, like, they can say what the associations are. They can say if they had a recent experience that's related to the dream. Like, that's how we discovered, there's the day residue, which is pretty obvious. So you dream about things that are related to your experiences of the previous day. But then we see these patterns emerging over longer periods of time. Like, something that happened recently is associated to something that happened like a week ago. Or you can see associations with like a month ago, or like when I was a child, and you can see patterns in what types of information and when the information is coming from. And it's really cool.
Agreed. Do you think dreams are just about memories? Just involve memory processing, or just a jumble of discarded memory images? Or?
I think it's about memory, but my idea of memory, I guess, is pretty broad. I mean, I think all of human experience is based in memory. The way that I perceive the world is based on my experience of the world. So it's not just like, I don't think it's just a brain-based memory. I think it's just a whole bodily awareness and knowledge of what it is to be me, and what my worldview is, what I think the world is like. Yeah.
Well, so does your view of memory then encompass things like totally new phenomena that you haven't encountered before? That can't be memories, right? If it's totally new, you've never encountered it before, it can't be memories.
Right, yeah, that is a conundrum.
And that occurs in dreams, right?
Yeah.
Totally new stuff. They're very creative.
Yeah.
Therefore, dreams can't just be about memories, right?
Or new combinations of memories.
But that's what I'm saying, Cleo. That's what I'm saying. I encounter in my dreams, and I see stuff in dream reports that is totally new, that I've never encountered before. As far as I can tell, when I really probe my memories, those images are not there.
Right.
Therefore, the source of that image in the dream is not my memory. It's coming from someplace else.
Right. It's a creative process.
Yeah.
that can happen. So it's an imaginative process. I was going to say that happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Imagination.
There is a form of imagination that's based on memory,
Mm-hmm.
no question about it. But there's another form of imagination that's totally creative and brand new. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I think that really comes out in dreams,
Mm-hmm.
even more than during the daytime.
Yeah.
Like there's something that dreams can do that our waking consciousness can't do.
There's a LaBerge quote. He's always said, waking experience is constrained by the concreteness of the external world. So we're like constrained by, because the world is continuous and solid, and so we're limited in what we can imagine and experience. Whereas in dreams, because there's nothing concrete or continuous, that the whole world is changing as we imagine it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's just one example. There's many other examples of creativity in dreams. You know, but if you agree with that hypothesis, you know that dreams are creative and they yield information that we can't get through other means, then for me the question becomes, what is that? What are dreams doing for us that nothing else is doing for us? And, you know, and the more I study dreams, and I've been studying dreams now for over 30 years now, the more I'm convinced that the information that dreams are yielding to us is absolutely vital. You know, that it's there's this phrase, the unknown unknowns. The surrealists made a big deal out of this way before what was his name? The U.S. defense chief made a called the unknown unknowns. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, so there's the known knowns, there's the unknown unknowns, and then there's the unknown unknowns, you know, stuff that we don't even know that we don't know.
Most of the stuff.
Yeah, most of the really important stuff is the stuff that we don't even know that we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the kind of stuff that we can get in dreams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And therefore, you as an individual viewing this podcast, or, you know, it's absolutely vital for you to pay attention to your dreams. If dreams are yielding that kind of information,
mm-hmm.
then that's gold for you. It's like finding gold, you know.
Right.